Recording.
I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:05. First order of business is for us to review and approve the minutes of the last meeting. I will accept the motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, they're approved. We have two things to discuss. One is to do the invoices, and I think we should do those first, and then we'll discuss the investment policy statement. Now, to make sure I do this right, just do this, or do I have to do each of these?
I haven't, I just got these, I had to track them down, so
Okay.
just as a lump sum, or as a
Just as a
as a
line,
packet.
okay.
Are they, I'm guessing library?
Yes,
Okay.
I don't have anything from the, and.
No
Yep,
revitalization
no revitalization.
or any other types of trust categories? Okay.
Like these playlists that they're buying, like my kids always enjoy them.
I have my new 2025 calendar, which I will leave as a gift to new Ken.
Like the hummingbird on the front.
It's actually from VFW. It's really nice calendar. Yeah, it's great comments and things.
You're going to make a motion that the commissioners must, for the year 2025, use paper calendar to schedule the meetings. Leave us with a parting gift. I'm making fun, but I have a stack of calendars from like 1997 all the way to
Do you recall that do you recall that January meeting is the 22nd, 7th, or is it the 29th?
It is the 29th at 4:30
29th at 4:30.
at the,
That's a Wednesday as well. Is that a Wednesday?
maybe a Monday,
Yes,
I'm
it
not,
is.
oh, it's a Wednesday.
29th at 4:30 is a Wednesday.
With a special election coming up, huh?
It's fast approaching.
We all gonna vote no. We're being requested to vote no.
We can wait till we're off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, we saved it, so.
Yeah, they're recorded. I actually am not sure where they are posted,
Mm.
but
Because they are posted.
Okay. I
They are,
haven't tried to
because-
find them.
At some, I know they're posted because the League of Women Voters did a study about town offices. Do you remember
Yes,
that?
I do,
And I
absolutely.
remember speaking with them, and they said, oh, we went back and we watched some of your meetings, so they are posted somewhere.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I think the town maybe has a YouTube channel.
I have to ask, I can ask IT where it ends up, but
Yeah.
I do need to follow up also with the minutes. Because
The next thing we have to do is discuss the investment policy statement. Then we'll discuss who we're gonna have visit us in January and February, etc. Okay. Let me ask you a quick question, Dan. You're familiar with high net worth individuals and what they're invested in, is that correct?
Yes.
Do are the managers allowed to buy things such as commodities for them, even if the commodities are just ETFs of the commodities?
I mean, manager can do whatever the client wants them to do, really, whatever.
Well, and you're not familiar with what any of the, okay. Many firms such as yours will say, these are things we're willing to invest in, these are things we're not willing to invest in. But you say the clients have the run of the game in your firm, and they decide what can and cannot be. And the reason why I'm asking this is about 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm not sure you were here then, I think you were. Our manager asked us if we could if they could invest in commodities. And I was amongst those who was very strong about not wanting to do that, since I had known of people who had invested in commodities, and when it didn't do well, they really got berated quite vehemently by the town officials that were involved. So I didn't want to do commodities, but now commodities have ETFs. They're, in other words, you can have an ETF for wheat and you have an ETF for corn. And so I'm sort of leaning a little bit that that's okay as long as it's minimal. Although I'm not suggesting that for tonight, I'm just asking you if, in your knowledge, any of the clients of your firm do that. You don't know.
I do know, I think we don't, but I don't think it's because we wouldn't. I think we would invest in just about anything.
Yeah, okay.
Like you said about ETFs, it used to be that when you're talking about commodities, you're often talking about futures contracts, which
Right. No,
can be dangerous if you don't use them the right way and are hard to access and all those things. I'm not opposed in theory. I mean, this is a perpetual portfolio that's kind of an equity-based but lower risk portfolio. So in theory, you could have alternative investments and other things in it. But I just don't think at our size and based on the sort of audience or who we're investing in, that I want to get too cute with it.
I don't either. I agree with you.
You had
on
So are you
commodities.
gonna bring up the
Yeah.
other type of asset? Then I will add a thought I have.
Sure.
The other type of asset I am is many managers and many managers and many pension funds are starting to invest in ETFs for Bitcoin. And I was gonna ask you if that is something that your clients also invest in, but since it's client driven and not manager driven, it's sort of a different story. I am slightly in favor of having Bitcoin ETFs allowed in this portfolio at a very low level. But that's just my feeling, and I want to hear what your thoughts are.
So I'll just add a thought to the discussion, which is, I think when we're looking at other places and what other places might do or what other segments of investors may do, we need to distinguish between what individual investors do because of the risk that a person can take for themselves versus what a fiduciary's role is and the risk that a fiduciary can take. So I think, thinking about, just taking you as an example, Dan, with your work and your clients, I want to know not just whether individuals are doing something, but whether trustees are doing something, because I think that is where that's our lane.
Well, I don't know specifically, I do know that some pension funds are investing in these ETFs. And some governmental pension funds are doing so. However, that doesn't mean anything. Okay? It's still what we want to do with our portfolio. Unless there doesn't appear to be a groundswell to do this. So why don't we maybe put that aside until after we talk with our managers and see what they have to say.
I think it makes sense to ask them, whatever the opposite of a groundswell is, that's where I am with
I
them,
understand.
but it would be good to get information.
I actually think that our investment policy statement as is, I don't think it's aggressive, but I think relative to what most sort of municipal type investment strategies might come up with, it's pretty permissive. Like when I first saw that we had space for MLPs, for master limited partnerships that do oil and gas and all these other things, I was kind of pleasantly surprised at how thoughtfully constructed it is. I think it mentioned something about investing in preferreds.
Yep.
There are things in there that I didn't expect to see, but that I was glad to see.
Right, okay.
And it does say, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just one of the closing statements is that a manager is encouraged to bring securities and or asset classes not specifically listed above to the commissioners for approval. So it does sort of encourage
Yeah.
a continuing flow of information on new opportunities.
Well, we can
Like I
certainly-
said, it's a very well written.
I think so,
IPS,
yeah.
Okay, so we'll defer that until after we talk with them and see if it does make any sense. The next thing is, I somehow looked at this, at the equity benchmark, okay? The equity benchmark here is 50 to 75%. Okay, benchmark at 70% for equities. But then within equities, the benchmark is 45% Russell 3000 index and 20% all country world except the US, the MSCI. And then it says the range for US equities is 35 to 55%. And I think the 55% is too low. In other words, I think we're encouraging more money into world equities than I am comfortable with as I look forward to the world and what's going on. And I would like to raise the US equity portion to 35 to 65%,
So I'm sorry, stay one more time. Right now, the range is,
35 to 55,
you want to raise it to,
to 35 to 65.
I agree, I would support that.
And that the non-US equities is 10 to 30, we could leave it there because there will be times.
Right. General concept, I think that if you have a diversified enough US index,
You-
you're getting sort of the best of
the
world exposure while avoiding forcing yourself to get some of the suboptimal.
Right, and that's right, and I think this is forcing us to own more international securities than we should at this time, or even at any time. Since,
Now, you mentioned equity as being 50 to 75 with the default of 70.
we default to
I
seven,
think we
Yeah.
should keep that.
yes,
You just want to increase the US equity
Just
range, and
within-
I
yeah.
support that.
within this line here, all you have to do is change this 55 to 65.
And then in the next line, the non-US equities goes from 10 to 30 to 10 to 20. Is that what you're saying?
No, you can leave it that way, they can go up to 30 if they want to. I mean, if there's a reason.
We're
to
just
go-
giving them the discretion to go a little higher if they so choose.
Okay,
Yeah, we're sort of encouraging them
Right.
to do a little more in the US than they're allowed under this.
so just to make sure I'm clear. So there's no adjustment downward in the non-US equities percentages,
No.
the range.
Right.
It's simply changing the US equities range
Mhm.
from 35 to 55 to become 35 to 65.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's okay. Okay. I'd like to make that in the form of a motion.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll do that. And is
Anything else? Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the same thing.
Anything else to do with fixed income? I mean, I think the rate environment was about where it was the last time we looked at this.
Yeah,
It's probably more of a question for Rockland of, to the extent we have cash, how are you investing it? As opposed to should the allocation to cash or bonds or whatever be higher or lower? I think they have a pretty good
yeah,
range of discretion there.
right, they
So-
do, I mean, it's a pretty big range, so.
Yeah.
And, you have to be concerned about bonds, given what's going on.
Is there a mirror thing with bonds where it gives us a range for US bonds or different types of
They,
international bonds?
no, they don't say anything about that.
Says up to 5% of the overall portfolio, meaning the bond portfolio, can be invested in non-US bonds.
Okay, right.
One thing, Rockland has done very well. I've always been impressed over time with their single stock selection. But I've always been pretty hesitant about that as a strategy. I'd rather see them use indices. If we're gonna raise this cap, do we want to say that if they're going above a certain percentage of the portfolio that, above a certain percent equities, they need to use some sort of broad-based index, or do they do that already anyway?
They do it already, and, I don't think I would wanna do that.
I'm less inclined,
Yeah.
because I do think that you can invest in single stocks and be successful.
They do use a lot of mutual funds, as you know.
Yeah.
I think that's it, and then so we can say that it's been reviewed and improved. Change.
Is there anything more we need to do? We made a resolution on the equity range, it was approved. Do we need to modify that document and circulate it, or what should we do?
We only have to circulate it to the manager, investment manager.
Okay,
So just looking at this old one, it does say reviewed and approved by the commissioners, right? Signed and dated, although the copy I have, doesn't have that. And then it has sort of the history of it.
Yeah.
Approved 10/22/09, and then it continues. I don't know if you want to see if you have
I
it.
think I recall. yeah.
You recall?
So I can bring it
Yeah.
in to the next, next meeting for signatures. And then I'll pass it on to, Barbara Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
Yes.
just at the end, it has revised 12/24.
Right.
Okay.
And in our next meeting, we want to have Kaladi.
Yes,
And I think the February meeting, we should have our investment managers come in.
Okay.
To review. So while you're talking to her, you can tell her that. Which brings up, we've got to decide when we're gonna have the February meeting. I'll open my new calendar. With the words.
Please not the school vacation.
which week is that?
School vacation week is the 17th is President's Day.
Right.
Yeah, not that week. Monday, the 24th.
I'm fine that day. They're too far out for you.
So you're saying February 24th. Looks open to me.
About 4:30, 5 o'clock, what do you choose?
Either's fine.
So we'll do 4:30.
Okay.
Give the treasurer a chance to get home early.
So February 2025.
224, 25.
So yeah, 2/24, 25 at 4:30.
And when we talked about, for the 20, for when you, don't be afraid to tell me, we're gonna ask her about using Bitcoin in the portfolio, their thoughts. So you come prepared.
Bitcoin and, you know, if there are any other additional asset classes that they're thinking about.
And is it in particular cryptocurrency or?
I would say-
That's where, it sounds like that's where Joe is at, but
Cryptocurrency, but my concern is limited to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Not a concern, it's just like. I don't want us to be the last one in, and I don't want us to be the first one in. It's a motion to adjourn.
motion,
Moved.
a second.
So moved.